Hello, how are you? I hope your day is going excellent. I hope your January has been good. I hope 2022 has treated you hopefully better than last year did, and the year before that, and the year before that, and I hope each year is perpetually better for you. So what is this? Well, this is WhoisSkoo, um, aka David Adams, and this is a little project. I wanted to start a little podcast that I want to call Better Late Than Never. And yeah, it's just a podcast about literally anything. There's not much of a theme going on here. It's just whatever I kind of feel like talking about. If you're a subscriber or you're familiar with anything on my channel, you might be asking, where are the rugby reactions? I've recorded three, and three of them have been flagged for copyright. Every time I try to do a rugby reaction, it gets flagged for copyright, whether it's by, I guess, the league that I'm doing the reaction for or what. I don't really understand how, if it's already on YouTube and I'm reacting to it on YouTube, that's considered copyright infringement. And I'm also doing commentary. I don't know. I don't know. I'll try to get some rugby reactions out there, but they just keep getting flagged, and it's like I don't want to get my channel deleted because I keep getting strikes. So until then, or in the meantime, I'm going to be doing these podcasts. I recorded a couple before this, but this is the first one that I'm actually going to post. Um, Not much in terms of a backdrop uh, for a video podcast, but hopefully I'll be getting some either changing locations or moving locations around a little bit. Maybe get some stuff on the wall. Who knows? This is just a pilot episode. Um, so yeah, just like as an introduction, who I am. My name's David Adams. Um, my YouTube channel is WhoisSkoo. Um, I also have an Instagram, Twitter account. You can bump in the mic. You can check those out at artbydave93. Um, and yeah, I'm just some schmuck who likes to talk about stuff and ramble on and on. Uh, so for today, there was a few things I wanted to talk about, just the month of January in general, and some things that have just been on my mind lately. Um, so just for some context, right now, I am in school for massage therapy, and just started, like literally just started, maybe a week. Last week was my first week. Learning a lot of cool stuff. It's a very interesting program. Um, and I remember I was thinking about school in general and the idea of going back to school. I'm 28 years old. I've been to college. I graduated community college, went to a 4-year college, and willingly dropped out. um, and when I was registering for the program, my massage therapy program, which is through a community college, I had this weird, like, deja vu feeling about college, and it was something I kind of wanted to talk about. My college history is very long, very turbulent, a lot of just back and forth, not knowing what I wanted to do, just being in college because I felt like I was supposed to be, having no kind of knowing. Well, I take that back. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't think what I wanted to do was feasible as a career. So, uh, as I was going into the campus and signing up, or getting my books, I signed up online, but like getting my books and stuff, there was no one there. There was no one on campus because of COVID. Um, because it's massage therapy, we do have to be in class. So, but there's no one on campus, and I'm walking around, and it's a pretty small campus. There's two locations, and the one that I'm at is the smaller one. And I'm walking around campus and I'm just like, it's an interesting feeling when you first go to college. And my experience is probably going to be a lot different from everyone, a lot of other people's. I mainly because I didn't go away for college, and I didn't go to a 4-year institution immediately. I went to a community college and transferred. Um, I went to a urban college, and I don't know about y'all. I am not a city person at all. I do not do well in urban environments. Too much stimuli, too many cars, too many people, too many roads that are one way. Where I live, you can turn left on a red light, and that's totally in the law. So you come to a stoplight, and the dude in front of you is just like turning left, and you're like, what is going on? I don't know what's happening. So, and it's not posted anywhere. You could just randomly turn left at random stops. You just have to know. And I don't know. So anyway, uh, urban campus. It just I don't know if you've been to an urban campus. If you went to college in the city, leave a comment because for me it almost didn't feel like I was in college. I felt like I was just wandering around the city going to classes, but it didn't feel like it's a different feeling from when you go to a university that's in a town. Like it's like a college town, whether it's like suburban or rural or something like that, or even like out in the exurbs or something. It's just a different feeling. But as I'm getting my books, I'm thinking about like the idea of college itself and just kind of reminiscing on the years I spent in college and all the confusion and stuff like that that was going on. And I mean, as some unsolicited advice to anyone who might be listening has who is in high school or who is thinking of going to college, um, there's there's a lot of pressure into going into college and furthering your education beyond um, high school, secondary school. Uh, I think that the biggest question you can ask yourself on what you want to do, this is a question that I developed for myself that I wish I had developed sooner. Um, and the question is, what profession would you want to pursue even if you were never successful and you never made any money doing it? What profession would you want to pursue regardless? I'm going to ask that again. What profession would you want to pursue even if you never made any money and you were never successful? What profession would you pursue regardless? Um, that's such and I think that question, it really taps into, think about that question, kind of decide for yourself. The reason I ask that question to myself and I ask other people that question, especially when I was in college and I was like meeting new people and learning about what their majors were, I think that question is so relevant because it taps into what your passion is. Essentially, what are you so passionate about that you will keep doing it even if you are never successful? The act of doing it itself is enough to sustain you, at least uh, mentally or emotionally or even spiritually. Um, you know, Figuring out what that passion is, I think is a very key point on deciding what you should be studying or what you should be pursuing. And I don't think that's something, I mean, when I was in school, I wasn't in any gifted programs. I didn't go to a private school. I went to a public school that particularly catered to math and science, even though those were the worst subjects for me. Um, but that's not really something that was ever really uh, pushed onto me growing up, was the idea of what is your actual passion and is that something worth pursuing? Um, in my opinion, your passion is always something that's worth pursuing, no matter what it is, how outlandish it may seem. It's your passion. And barring having to care for other individuals like kids or, an aging parent or a sickly spouse or something like that, barring other accountabilities, I feel like people should pursue your passion. Now, definitely be rational about it and definitely, keep the day job if you got to make money and make ends meet. But, you know, there's time if 2022 and whatever your thoughts are about coronavirus or the pandemic, I think that there's been if you're on Reddit, if you use Reddit at all, then you've definitely heard of r/anti-work or anti-work. And I remember first seeing that, like seeing that subreddit and that topic start to blow up right around, I want to say late 2020, maybe early 2021. And that, if I remember correctly, that's roughly around the time when, stimulus checks were starting to stop. People are starting to get kicked off of unemployment. People are some people are going back to the office, and the prospect of like going back to whatever job you had becomes a thing. Um, and people aren't getting paid enough to make a living at their job, so they're quitting and they're like, well, screw this, I'm not going to deal with that. Um, which I personally, if it were up to me, if I could control everything, then my thing is I don't think for the sake of spending time with your family, for your own mental well-being, for the pursuit of other passions and hobbies, in the perfect world, in my idea of a perfect world, no one would work more than 20 to 25 hours a week and they would make enough money to live. So you would get paid enough to make a living, like to pay your bills, buy groceries, pay insurance, do all that, and you would only have to work 25 hours a week. And the rest of your time could be spent pursuing whatever you want to do, spending time with your family, all that stuff. Um, and I think that so all of this is to rebound to the idea of people are getting laid off and people are quitting their jobs and they're deciding I don't want to go back to doing all of this stuff that I hated doing making that was making me miss out on my whole life. And people are starting to some people, are backpedaling into understanding what is my passion? What do I really like to do? What do I really want to do? And that's a really important thing. And I don't think that's, it's such a fairy tale idea. It's such a like, oh, that'd be great if I could do this thing, but oh, I'd love to do this thing if, oh man, that would be excellent. Except, and we make a bunch of, not excuses because some things are very legitimate. If you got kids to take care of and you got mouths to feed and you got people to take care of, then yeah, you got to really readjust your priorities, and the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few in that instance. But or the needs of the sickly outweigh the needs of the able, I suppose you could say. Um, but all that is to say, when you're trying to decide something like, what should I go to college for? What should I pursue? What should I really put my time and effort into? Really give that question some thought of like, what is your passion? What is something you would do even if you were never successful? What was something you would want to do even if you never made any money doing it and you were struggling, but you would still do it anyways? I'll tell you what mine would be, is art. It's art. It's always been art, and I think it will always be art. Um, during the during quarantine, I got laid off from my job at a gym, and I was I didn't have anything to do. The first couple weeks, I didn't do much of anything. But then I was like, you know what? This is time I could be using to really hone in on my interests and my skills. And I'm not the best artist in the world, obviously. I'm not even that great of an artist, but it's something that I've always loved to do, even as a child. Um, and it's something that, I didn't make a ton of money doing it, but I was able to hone my skills well enough that I could get paid to do it. I got some commissions here and there, and it's something that I still do. Not as often as I was because I'm in school and I work and whatnot, but it's something that I still do. Um, and even if I never make a huge amount of money doing it, even if I never, uh, I can, even if it never becomes something I could do for a living, it's something I would still keep doing. So if you're going, and the reason I say the idea of like figure out what your passion is, or at least contemplate what your passion could be, um, is it's not just directed towards kids, young adults going to college or university. It's also directed towards anyone. You could be 40, 50, 60 years old and still trying to understand what your passion is. Um, the really interesting thing I noticed during my years in community college and my years at a four-year institution was the amount of students who were older, the amount of students who were in their late 20s, 30s, mid 30s, even a few people who were in their mid 40s and late 40s. And I remember in one of my psychology classes, there were two individuals who were in their like early 50s going back just to get their bachelor's because they never had one. And they just wanted to experience college, like actually experience it. Um, and that's the other thing, and that's a beautiful thing. Okay. That's another thing. When you go to community college, it was the same deal. It was probably more so because you go to a community college and, there's obviously, young adults coming out of high school going to 2 year for whatever reason. But then there's also people coming back to school to um, get a certificate, get a trade, continue their education, do whatever they're trying to do. And it's significantly cheaper. And I'm one of those individuals. I'm going back to school for massage therapy. So those it's never too late is what I'm trying to say is it's never too late to try something or try to indulge something that you've always wanted to do. Um, take it from me, personally, from my life. That's why this podcast is called Better Late Than Never. And I could tell you from personal experience, spending a lot of time wishing you had done something, wanting to do something, but never trying, being too afraid, making excuses, it makes things worse. It doesn't, it just compounds and compounds and compounds. And the sooner you just say, you know what, I'm going to do this thing, and you make a plan. That's the big thing too, is make a plan. Um, Planning out things, it's so easy to get caught up in just jump the gun and just go do it immediately. And that you want to have that energy. That's good energy. That's not bad energy. You should never disregard some impulsiveness, but understand what is the source of that impulsiveness and how you can direct it in a constructive manner. Um, Use that energy to create a planner for yourself. For instance, I'm addicted to spreadsheets. I have a pathological addiction to spreadsheets. I make spreadsheets about everything. I make my schedule off of spreadsheets, my fitness log off of spreadsheets. All of my school notes are on spreadsheets. My This is going to sound insane, but I keep inventory of everything that's in the house on a spreadsheet, um, just so I know everything that I have. Um, Basically, keep it's that sounds like the most RPG thing in the world, right? You have your own inventory of all of your belongings. Yes, because for me, when I do that, I can keep track of everything that I have, and I can also know when stuff is old, how much stuff is worth, if I ever want to sell it or have like a yard sale or something. Um, and I can keep track of where everything is. Excuse me. So anyway, that's just me. Oh, by the way, this podcast is going to be all over the place. Excuse me, because I can't keep a consistent thought. So it's definitely going to be here, there, and everywhere. Um, and then hopefully, I've been fiddling around with this microphone so much. It is not. I mean, it's not a very good microphone. I think it was like $40 on Amazon or something. So better quality to come, hopefully. But anyway, uh, so yeah, if you're thinking about going back to school, or you're coming out of high school and you're thinking about should I go to college or not, consider what your passion is, and then choose a degree according to what your passion is. In my opinion, you will enjoy your time in college more if you're studying your passion. You'll engage more with your classes and your professors. You'll be more inclined to engage with extracurricular activities at your university that are relevant to your passion. And you'll get more out of your degree because it's something you really enjoy. I know so many people who have come out of university getting their bachelor's and don't work in the field that they studied. And that's fine, life changes and things change, and everyone, there's nothing wrong with changing the trajectory of your life. But they got loans, and they would probably be it becomes a thing of like, why did I get this thing? Why did I get this communications degree, and I don't know, an engineer, and I help build bridges, or I help construct bridges. What is the point of this? Uh, that's not fun to deal with. It's not fun to deal with having a degree that you're not using. Um, and if you really don't know, if you really are just like, I don't know what I want to do, man. Like, I'm in high school. I don't even like school. I don't want to be in school. Why? I don't know. Consider getting a trade. Consider either just starting working, just like get a job and just start working anywhere. It doesn't matter. Just any job that puts money in your pocket and helps you connect with other people and introduce you to other people who might have connections to other opportunities. Or get a trade. Take up welding, take up a certification. And there's tons of certifications. You could get a certification to be what is it, a forklift driver. And boom, you can work at any warehouse, anywhere. Everyone needs forklift drivers. And you can take that anywhere you go. If you decide to, there can't be a huge difference between how forklifts are made in America and how they're made in Japan. So you could potentially, that could be your ticket to moving overseas if you want to. Um, certificates are great. Certifications are great. Community colleges are great if you live in an area that's close to one, or even if you have to travel to one. Community colleges are great. Trades are great, especially if you're just not quite sure what you want to do, but you do want to start working and start making money. Um, you know, and I'm telling you all this is all so much unsolicited advice, just because no one really told me this when I was growing up. Um, no one really told me much of anything when I was growing up. So just from me to you. So consider what your passion is, what's something you want to do, even if you never made money and you were never successful, what would you want to do regardless? And don't knock community college, don't knock trades. They're there for a reason. Um, So anyway, that's school life. And also the last thing I'll talk about school and university and college in general is uh I'm noticing, and this is just from my observations, the typical or traditional trajectory in which most people are expected to go through life seems to be changing. And maybe it's just being an adult and adulting and meeting other adults and learning more about other people. Uh, and what I mean by the traditional trajectory is you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a job in the field that you studied, you work, you get married, maybe have some kids, you retire when you're like 60 something, and then you spend the next like 1 to possibly 40 years living off of that. And that seems to be changing a lot in the sense that people are coming out of high school, don't go to college. They start working. They go to college later in life. They get married right out of high school, or they get married when they're 40 or when they're 50. Um, there's so many. What I'm saying is, there's so many ways your life can end up, and that could be so off from the standard norm or what you're planning it to be like. Life changes so much. It can change in the course of a week. Your whole life can be completely flipped over in a day, a week, a day, the next hour. And that's not something to be super anxious about. We think about change as such a terrifying thing sometimes because we think of the worst case scenario. But there's a positive to every negative. Every bad scenario has some good to it, just like every good scenario can have some bad to it. It's all about your perspective. Um, and so, with that trajectory of how life is going, or the typical trajectory of a typical life, especially, I guess, more in like Western civilizations, it might be different in other places in the world. Um, you don't have to follow that. If you want to do that, if that trajectory of like go to high school, graduate, go to college, get your degree, work in that field, get married, going that traditional route is something that appeals to you, then great, do it. But if that doesn't appeal to you, for someone like me, where that is not appealing, uh, you know, certain aspects of it are, but the whole trajectory itself is not appealing. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you find that, you want to not, I don't want to say rebound because that implies that something needed to happen before. But if you're in your late 20s, you're in your mid 20s, early 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, early 40s, no matter what age you are, if you want to do something like go back to school and go to a 4-year institution and live off a campus or live on, I don't know, I think on campus is like a certain age range for a lot of schools, like you got to be under a certain age to live on campus, but there's tons of housing out just outside of campus. A lot of, at least where I live, a lot of campuses have like apartments and housing that's literally like a walk off, like a block off of campus, or like 5 minute walk, but whatever. If you want to go back to school and do that, then do it. Then go do it. If you, and I'm saying this honestly because I'm slightly projecting. One of my goals, because I did not go away for college, um, I did not graduate a 4-year institution. I did not go to a 4-year institution to study what I really wanted to study. I just went because I felt like I was supposed to, and I was studying something that I was mildly interested in, like slightly, but not so much that like I'm willing to take out tons of loans for it. Um, but I never, for me personally, I never got to truly indulge the college experience. I didn't get to, live right next, like on campus or like slightly off of campus. I didn't really get to go to sporting events and stuff like that, because I was working, so I didn't have time to do a lot of stuff. I didn't really get to do a bunch of extracurricular stuff. And I'm not blaming the school. I'm not blaming that. Part of that's on me, simply because A, I was working so much, and B, because I was I wasn't truly immersed in my college experience because I wasn't studying something I really wanted to study. I wasn't there because I really wanted to be there. I was there because I felt like I had to be there. But if you want to experience that stuff, then just go do it. Just go do it. I know it, and I'm not trying to sound super like entitled and privileged. I'm sure, like, oh, if you had just go to college, college money, loans. I mean, who can't afford college? College costs a lot of fucking money. Um, but that's what loans are for. And if you're studying something that you really, really enjoy, you're really passionate about, then when you graduate and you start working in that field, or whether you're working for a company or you're working for yourself, when you're doing that thing, it's not going to feel like work. You will be surprised. It's surprising how, when you're really doing something that you're so into and you're really following your passion, how money tends to just kind of come to you because you're so when you it's the same idea of, you know, when you're looking for something, you'll never find it. When you're not looking for something, it'll come to you in abundance. Um, it's money can be like that. Now, everyone's circumstances are different, obviously, but in my experience, the people who are, and with people that I know personally, the people who are chasing money, hounding after money, everything about them is money, 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 money. Sure, they get the money, but then they also lose the money, and then they also lose themselves because they're not happy. They're really not happy. They're temporarily happy by the rush or the dopamine of having the money, and then they spend it, or they don't really use it wisely, and then they don't have money. Money comes and goes, but they're still not happy with themselves because they're doing stuff that they don't even like doing, or they don't have time to, or they either don't have, they don't allow themselves time to think introspectively of what they really enjoy. Um, and then when, some of those people, you might know a person like that, or you might be a person like that when when quarantine happens, during the big quarantine in 2020, or even these other quarantines that are happening as new strains of COVID come out. Um, and you're not working, you don't have anything to do, you might find like, geez, like, what am I doing? I don't know what to do now. I'm not working, I'm not making money. Who am I? Um, that's where questions like, what is your passion, come into play. And I'm a believer that, even if you're following your passion, if you're doing something you really, really enjoy, and you dedicate yourself to it, and it's hard work. I'm not acting like it's going to be smooth sailing. I don't want to come off with that impression that I'm saying that, but if you put in the work and it's something you really, really enjoy, it's not going to feel like work, and the money will just come. It'll come. You got to trust yourself that it will come, because you got to trust what you're doing, and you got to trust that even if you're not super skilled at it yet, you will become skilled at it. You will become skilled enough that people will pay you for it. Um, I don't know if this is relevant, but I think there's a quote from, I forget which, was it The Dark Knight? I really don't know superhero movies, but the one with the Heath Led, what is his name? Heath Ledger? What is his name? This Joker who smacks his lips a lot. The I'm I'm the Joker. Whoever that one is. He said he had a quote. If you're good at something, never do it for free. I don't know. I don't know if that's relevant, but I like to keep the philosophy of uh, keep doing something until people will pay you for it, and then keep doing it. Anyway, that's super irrelevant and whatever. Um, so yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to say about college is if you want to experience that, then just go do it, you know. Um, yeah. So trying to think if there was anything else. This is going to be such a like stream of conscience sort of podcast. Um, the oh, and just for like stuff that's going on with me, just so you have a better understanding of who is Skoo. um, I have a so I recently had to cancel a membership I had at a rock climbing gym, and it broke my heart slightly. I so my one of my friends and coworkers got me into rock climbing, and if you rock climb, that's excellent. I it is fun. I'm not gonna act like it's not fun. It is a fun thing to do. I enjoy it. I I think I like climbing walls better than I like the bouldering. Um, but I had to cancel it just because A, the gym is expensive. It's a pretty price. It's a good gym. It's a very good facility with a lot of amenities, which is why it's expensive. Um, so I'm not blaming it for the cost of it. I just couldn't. I don't know. I was thinking about this because my recreational my my choice, my preferred recreational activity is swimming. I really love swimming. I love swimming. Um, I like to weightlift too here and there, but swimming is my favorite activity. Uh, and I had a membership at another gym where I would just swim and use the sauna, and I canceled that so I could join the rock climbing gym. Now I'm probably canceling the rock climbing gym so I can go join the other gym again and go swimming. Um, the rock climbing is fun. I just don't. I think the thing about it is rock climbing is an activity that you have to consciously think about when you're doing it. You see the problem on the wall and you have to think like, okay, how am I going to solve this? How am I going to get up here? When I get to this ledge, where can I put my foot? Where can I put my hand? And for me, someone who has really horrible grip strength and weak little baby wrists, I don't actually, a baby probably has better grip strength than I do. I can't hang on the wall long enough to think of what I'm going to do next. I can't I can't just like climb unconsciously. Like I have to think about it, and I have to think quick because my hands are giving out. Um, I don't necessarily like thinking when I exercise. Some people do. Some people that's why you're doing it. I personally I don't. I go to exercise. I want to turn my brain off. I want my body to work, and I want my brain to turn off, so I don't have to think about anything. Um, and swimming for me, that's what that is. I could turn my brain off. My body just goes into autopilot. Sometimes every once in a while I'll time myself. Maybe like every couple months I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna record this time, and then a couple months later I'll see if I can beat that time. Um, I'm not super competitive with my daily exercise because swimming is something I would do. Well, I weightlift, but like usually twice or three times a week. And then between those days, just like calisthenics or weightlifting or whatever. Um, but I like to just turn my. It's just maintenance thing. I have a philosophy of little things add up. So do a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there, and it will eventually grow into something substantial. That's how I approach everything. Like, projects, I break it up into small, tiny little things and do little things here or there. Um, that's just my philosophy. Obviously, you got to be adaptable. Some things you can't break into small pieces. You have to just take it as is. But when I can, I try to do just a little here, a little there. Small things add up. Um, but anyway, uh, the reason I'm bringing up the rock climbing club is not because of the rock climbing. It is because of the sauna. I I fucking love the sauna so much. I fucking love it. I love the sauna. I love saunas. I love heat. I love heat. I would much rather be in a hot environment than a cold environment. And there's the sauna. So at the sauna at the old gym I was at, which I'm probably gonna have to go back to. It was good. It's a good sauna. It's just small. It's a really small sauna. There's not a lot of walking space, and it's mostly just seats. It's just the way the building is. I'm not faulting them for it. It's just a small sauna. The sauna at this rock climbing gym was so big. It was so much space. And the reason this is relevant is because I don't I go in the sauna to stretch and work out. I actually exercise in the sauna. Um there's a room over here which is a storage room. And in the summer when it gets hot, it basically is like a second attic. And it gets hot in that room. And during the summer, when it's hot, like 90 degrees outside, so in there, it's got to be pushing like 100 something. I take my yoga mat and I go out there and I work out. I stretch, do a lot of different stretches. I'll do some like calisthenics, like sit ups, squats, push ups. I'll bring a medicine ball in there and just do some stuff with that. Sometimes I'll bring in some like light dumbbells. Um, I'll practice. I don't know what you call. I guess like punching and kicking. So like I'll do like some martial arts kicks, um, and stuff like that. I don't know if that falls under the category of calisthenics. You are technically using your body weight for equilibrium, but I'll do that. And obviously you need some space for that. And this sauna at this rock climbing gym was uh so spacious. I could do all of that in there. I was in there and no one goes in there. No one ever went into that sauna. I think I've been going to that gym for a month, and there was one time I went in there and there was a person in there and he was just sitting in the corner. And I was like, "Hey man, I'm going to be like doing some like active stuff in here if you don't mind." And he was like, "Yeah, that's cool." So I was in there stretching and doing push-ups and sit-ups and squats and you know roundhouse kicks and axe kicks, stretching all those ligaments and stuff. Um, and I got to give up that sauna, and I got to go to the other gym, which has a nice sauna. It's just not a lot of space. Um, and that's such a first world problem. I know that's such a. I can't go to my favorite sauna. I want to go to the big, nice sauna. Oh, I have to go to this tiny little sauna instead. Oh, oh, oh. I know, I know how whiny that sounds, but yeah, I'm gonna miss my sauna. I'm gonna miss that sauna. I mean, I could always join back. Right now, it's just money is kind of tight with me. Like, I'm like a little bit of a money's tight, so got to give up the nice big sauna for the still good smaller sauna. Such a first world problem, I know. Um, but the reason I brought that up is now if you want to do this, I'm just telling you what I do. I go in sauna to stretch, and it actually Obviously, a sauna is a lot hotter than just a storage room attic in the summer. Um, excuse me, that attic does get hot, but it doesn't get like quite as hot as a sauna does. But I go in there and I stretch and do all that, and it makes time go by faster. It really makes you kind of lose track of how long you've been in there, and then the next thing you know, you do your stretch routine, and it's already been like 20, 30 minutes, and you're like, oh wow, I cool. You just got you because, and the reason I like sauna so much, and the reason why, I if you can, if you have the constitution to do it, I encourage people to go use a sauna, because it's a cardiovascular workout because your heart rate is increasing to keep you cool. So if you supplement that with exercises, like whether you're doing squats, whether you're doing push-ups like on the seats, I wouldn't do it on the floor because those floors are nasty, but push-ups on the seats, or I don't know what they're called, but you sit down and you raise your legs up, and then you just kind of like bring your legs in and out while you're like reclining back. I forget what they're called. Um, or just crunches, whatever. Uh, it that adds a aspect of calisthenics to it, so you're improving your muscles and stretching because your muscles are so hot. The soft tissue can expand and the ligaments can expand more. So, and the thing too, and I'll probably learn more about this as I'm doing my massage therapy course, but my understanding is that when you stretch and your muscles are warm or hot, your flexibility increases significantly faster than if you're stretching when your muscles are cold. Obviously, when you stretch when your muscles are cold, that's more so for injury prevention. But when you stretch when they're hot already, you're actually improving your flexibility because now there's more blood flow. The ligaments are warm enough they can expand safely without risk of tear. I mean, there's still obviously risk if you push yourself too hard, but without as much risk of tearing or snapping or anything. Um, so yeah, I love going in the sauna. Um, I love exercising in the sauna or exercising in the heat in general. And the reason I learned this because when I several years ago, I took a vacation to Miami Beach and by myself, and and that's another thing. Traveling by your that's a whole nother podcast. But um, I was outside every day. I was running by the beach because the weather was perfect and all that. And I was running along the beach, and there's a spot in on this like southern part of Miami Beach where all the like clubs and stuff are, where there's like a exercise area outside, kind of like a mini version of Muscle Beach is that in California? I think Muscle Beach is in California. It's like a mini version of that with like pull-up bars and some barbells and tires and stuff. And I was talking to the people who were out there because they were out there just like exercising, and they were doing like gymnastics, like hanging upside down and like just doing all these crazy stuff. And I was like, how did you guys get I like this tone and this flexible? And they were like, we exercise in the heat all day. Well, not all day, obviously, but whenever they exercise, they're outside in the heat. And so that is expanding their muscle fibers significantly faster. And so it's expanding, which is allowing more blood to get into their muscles, which is making it making hypertrophy a lot easier. And it's also expanding their fibers and their joints and tendons so they can be more flexible, which in turn, more flexibility means wider muscles, means more definition, more wider, sturdier muscles. So I took that philosophy and I just started incorporating it into my normal exercises, um, which is why I exercise in fucking saunas. And which is why it now it personally I understand why they do it, and I can't fault gyms for it, but personally it hurts me when I go to a gym and it's freezing cold It's like you go in the gym and it's like they keep it at like 65 degrees, and I'm like, I know why you do it. It's so people don't overheat. I get it. But oh, I wish it was warmer. Anyway, first world problems. My gym isn't hot enough. Um, but yeah. So take what you will from that. I'm not saying go into a sauna and just start exercising because you don't want to pass out. But if you have access to a sauna, at least sit in it, do some stretching, some light stretching, and just notice how your body feels. For me, it was extraordinarily beneficial, which is why I'm sad that I gotta leave the rock climbing club over a sauna. I'm sad I gotta leave the rock climbing club because of the sauna, not because of the actual rock climbing. Um, so yeah, uh, trying to think. Can't. I'm sure there's other topics I could bring up. I'm gonna have to start writing these down. But I think that's gonna do it for this first episode of Better Late Than Never podcast. Um, like I said, I may or may not do more rugby reactions. It just depends on if they get taken down. I'm definitely gonna keep doing this podcast because it's fun for me, and also therapeutic too, in some ways. And yeah, my Instagram and Twitter is over here. It's Art by Dave 93. If you want to go look at some mediocre artwork and maybe give me a follow. Um, if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, maybe, I don't know. Uh, but yeah, I will. I'm gonna probably do one a week of these podcasts, maybe twice a week. I don't know. This is just the first one. I'm not gonna make any huge promises. Um, but yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you are watching. Thank you for listening and watching if you are doing both. Uh, my name is David, aka WhoisSkoo, and I will see you next time.